Hello, and welcome to the Smileyblue podcast. Once again, episode 7. Let's introduce our lovely guests here. But first, the co-host, the most affable man in Arena FPS. It's Y2 Jake.
Oh, thank you, Joel. How are you? I've learned
right,
from
mate.
last week.
Not bad. How are you?
Yeah, mate, I'm good. Very good. I'm excited. Got some good.
We're both lying through our teeth. We are both clinically depressed. Phaze! Now on a new team. I'm one of the best players in the world, might I add. How are you?
Doing fine. Chilling. Just lovely to see all the smiley faces. Blues.
Ooh.
And finally, last but not least, Vedmedik, second place finisher in Test Tournament Series number 1 for NA teams, and the winner of the most recent Duked Duel North American event. How are you?
I'm doing good.
That's good to hear.
Finally relaxed. Finally done with finals. Yeah.
That's got to be huge. That's got to be absolutely huge, and I'm sure that that must have been impacting your competition for Diabotical as well, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean that is why I left the team. Like the former AIM scams. But,
right.
Yeah. So it definitely did. Right.
Oh, you got a better team now, anyway. AimScums.gg.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I have a new team now as well.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So
you hop around a bit.
Yeah. So I'll be playing with Sane and Griffin.
You've taken Brick's role.
Yeah, I've ruined a bunch of teams, unfortunately. Just what is it, like 3 teams now?
That's what we want. That's good content for us. Don't worry about that,
mate. That's great. I mean, you're clearly like hot on the market, and people want you. They're just accommodating you however they can. That's pretty cool. Already that's got to be one of the scarier teams for sure. Yeah. So still going by Minority Report, or have you got a new name?
Oh, we're thinking of one. Like AIM Scams was my idea. I love the team names, right? So, well, I'll definitely think of one. Yeah, that's like that. I go through like a 2-week process. Write names down as I think about it. Like it's part of like maybe half the fun of playing in these tournaments is finding a good name.
Take Animal Squad. It's up for grabs. Animal Squad's up for grabs. The NA expansion.
That's up for grabs.
You're Proof now, right, Phaze?
Yeah.
What's the idea behind Proof?
It was we're practicing against 2Z, and as you know, Bus is that kind of he's a funny troll, or Twitter in game. So we're just chatting with Kyle Silensep, and he said something, and then Bus just replied with Proof. And Kyle got confused for at least half an hour. He had no idea what was happening and what proof what Buzz was asking for. So we just kept on repeating it every scrim. It got to the point where we're like, yeah, that should be the name. Out of all of them that we could.
It's great to have meme names back in 2020 because, like, you look at the major esports now, it's all fucking corporate branded. It's always Fnatic, Cloud9, and it's just like, there's no creativity in the names now. So it's great to like almost go back in time. We've got AIM Scams. We've got fucking what was Agent's team? It was like best player in the world with 2 guys who paid him or something like that.
Yeah, best player in the world. 2 guys that pay him to play in this tournament. That was the exact name.
That was a waste of their money.
Oh, absolutely. At least it wasn't. Shout outs to Diabotical District for something, which we said in full every single time. But
yeah.
Let's get on with the podcast, shall we? Let's dive in to some topics. Now today we're mostly going to be focusing on team modes. There's a lot to discuss with Phaze and Vedmedik there, so we're going to get Duel out of the way early and talk a little bit about the state of Duel. I'm going to start with the most obvious question. Vedmedik, are you better than Zorik War?
Well, we've only played like a few times, and I won every time in practice. Honestly, I think like the NA duel scene is like really basic in how they understand how to play duel. Like that's honestly one thing that triggers me with the scene where everyone has like the same style. Like they all are like emulators of like this Rafa type where they're like, I'm going to play the map. I'm going to run the items. Like Zorak took it to a different level where he's like, I'm not going to think about anything else but the items, But in a sense, like for me, I like the trap play wherever you're, like you're tracking the opponent, you're like playing silently, doing all that. But with them, it's like, what they're doing like all the time. They're just running the items, and it's like the creativity is lacking, But yeah, I mean, with regards to Zorak, like that's why I rate him. I don't think he's very good, honestly. Like I think it's like a very niche style that's like heavily execution based. It's also like, he's already like in duel. It's all about like the mental game, right? And he's just removed that completely. He's like, I'm just gonna time the 4 items. Where I'm going all the time, and I'm just gonna, despite all that, I'm just gonna try to win, right? Rather than like, the mind games. That's what duel is all about, at least in my view.
So question to what you just said. Because you said that they play a very strict ABC game, right? They do this, they do this, they do this. So now the question is, do you often find, because I haven't watched the duel tournaments, but do you often find that the players use the same routes all the time and they just keep repeating them throughout the entire match?
Not understand positioning. So like, say Adam is coming up in like 5 seconds, they'll sprint to it, even though like I'll be positioned there ready. Yeah, I'll be like in front of you because I'm not playing for all the items. So I have all the time in the world to figure out what fight I'm going to take. I'll position myself in front of it. You're going to jump into my shaft to die, whine about it. And then I'll take the fucking, then I'll take the items and, back in control. Right. But for them, they don't understand that. Like if you're coming in late, like you're prone to getting fucked.
I've got a question, Ved. Do you think, if you think kind of like a lot of the duelers suffer from a similar kind of pattern, do you think it's because they kind of, they being kind of like Ray, Ballin, Zorak, duel bars, they kind of stuck with QL as a kind of like almost like a dual clan almost. They kind of just played QL for the last few years before Diabotical. Do you think they kind of just all got used to playing each other and now kind of suffer from a lack of, diverse play styles or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely used to playing each other the same way all the time, right?
Yeah.
But I think what it stems from is like people like Rafa and Dehang who have the same styles, except they actually understand what they're doing to some extent, I think. So, they play it better. Like these people are kind of imitators and they don't completely understand why those styles work, right? And then they just imitate it poorly, and then it's honestly like kind of, for me, I hate watching them play because it's like where is the creativity? You're just gonna run the items like that. Honestly sounds boring as hell too. Like just imagine whenever I play games, right, like just do something new for once, maybe.
Do you hate watching Agent play?
I think, look, I haven't watched him much, but I think within like the EU dual scene, like people, like I stayed in Ireland for a little bit, and I played like Kieber or Cyber, right, and Fog, and like a bunch of the Belarusians. They're really creative. Like that's a core part of their style, like aggressive, fast-paced thinking. They're trying to trap you. They're trying to like outwit you within the fight. So I'm pretty sure like Agent is well aware of all this stuff. I mean, like, I don't know, he's not playing very like high level people in EU, like with regards to who was around back in the day, So I'm sure that's like has to do with his dominance as well.
Yeah, definitely weaker for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting because Agent gets a lot of free damage, gets a lot of surprise damage as the thing. So I think he definitely is playing off his opponent more than the items. I think he used to play the items more, but now is a little bit more advanced.
I think he definitely understands all this stuff. Like I'm sure he's aware of the mind games. Like there's no way you're good in Europe and you don't get it. You can actually not get the mind games at all, like Zorak, and still be good in NA. That's a different story.
I asked Agent who his like hardest opponent was so far in this game, and he said it was Dazator, who is just I think is kind of in between a kind of item guy, but also he's like a really aggressive player as well. So that clearly gives Agent like a lot of trouble. So you would think that if you plugged Agent into NA, he could probably out ABC the ABCers, if that makes sense, because he's just he's used to playing against a much different style. I was going to ask you as well, obviously we spoke a lot about Phaze. I think I'm like Phaze. I'm like Phaze's #1 fan purely for the content, but also because I do enjoy watching him duel, and he's one of the few players that can just talk out loud. Have you seen much of Phaze play Diabotical? Because I don't think he plays the ABC style whatsoever. He kind of plays a very methodical style, but he doesn't have obviously the best opponents, to play against.
I mean, yeah, like Steege and Cam, I know are very good. Yeah, I think I watched a bit of Phaze, and I think he's also one of those people that is like well aware of the risks of going areas. The thing is, like, if you're completely clueless about the risks of going towards items, you'll go towards the items, right? Like Phaze understands, like, okay, I can take damage here. He sees ahead like where he can get punished, and he's like very conscious of everything that's going on, right? And he'll play on the safer end, which is like, like he doesn't want, like, a key thing about duel, and I think Phaze understands this, is that to win duels, you win fights. And like one way to win fights is, of course, having more stack, but the other way to win fights is having the surprise, having the positional advantage. And like he very well understands like these components, and he's good at choosing his fights, right? Like, like if you choose the fights that you want to win that suit your strengths, you'll have way better chances of winning. And I'm pretty sure like this is something that Phaze understands well and applies within all his games.
Totally
So
agree.
I think, again, we do it every podcast, so we've got to do it with you. Who do you think, just based on watching, is it yourself or is it Agent or is it even somebody from Australia, best in the world right now, if you had to guess?
I mean, I honestly, I have no clue. Like, I mean,
Say
I've seen...
For the content, come on!
Okay.
It doesn't work now.
Look,
you fucking...
look, it's too hard to tell. I mean, honestly, I think I play duel well. I think Agent plays solidly. I think Phaze plays solidly. I think all of us actually understand the components of duel, like have a complete picture of what's going on, right? And, like more than just going towards the items, right? So I think all of us I would consider contenders of being top.
Well, I think we've done enough duel talk. Not the focus of the episode this time around. We are going to be mostly talking about team modes. Of course, the last weekend we saw the EU qualifiers. Phaze, you've got a new team. You've qualified. Tell us a little bit about the tournament from your perspective.
Very short. Kind of, as I was explaining to you guys before, I'm the type of player that likes to play a tournament. And I'm down to play 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours of a tournament, and playing only about 45 minutes was kind of a letdown. But no, that's nothing to do with the tournament or the organization. It's just the fact that it was, we had 2 games and that's it, and that was a bummer because I wanted to play more. I thought there would be more games. Luckily we qualified, so I can't really complain much.
Nice humble flex, dude. Humble brag.
I was waiting for
Just 2 games, 45 minutes is so easy. Wish you could crush some more people.
It's
honestly.
like,
Speed running.
45 minutes and we
like
bombed out.
Yeah, I'm so bummed. I just couldn't win more games. Damn.
No, right? I mean, you want to show your dominance.
Phaze suffering from success.
Yeah.
The poor boy. And he's gone.
And he's fucked up.
You're back. You're back.
I thought he was hiding something. Oh no.
Went robot. Go ahead.
I think his headset's either bugged. We can't hear you, Phaze.
Hello?
Oh, we can now. Yes, we can.
Yeah, you can hear me fine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow, no, I was like my eardrums exploded a second ago because my volume just went up to 100%. I don't know why. I was like, oh, holy shit, dude. Yeah, no, the tournament was fine for now. Just waiting for the finals. We'll see what happens.
Sure you are. Let's talk a little bit about the new and changed rosters. So you left Absol and Skooky, now playing, if people don't know, with Bus Driver and Liths, which is a terrifying team, quite frankly, and I think a serious contender. 2Z, unfortunately, still without Claws. Didn't have James this time. It's going to be Rel. I think it pretty much goes without saying that they're weaker for that, but how much weaker do you think they are?
I'm not sure. We haven't played them in practice with Rel, so it would be tough to assume what kind of shape they could be in, and it would also be disrespectful to Rel to say that they're not good enough with him. I think the time will tell. Rel has obviously put a lot more time into the game than Klaus has, purely because Klaus is playing another game competitively. So he's not practicing as much as he probably should. Rel playing as much as he can, they can be just as good, if not better, perhaps. It's really.
What was it like with them in practice with claws? Did you say you practiced with them when they had claws?
Yeah, we practiced versus them when they had claws. It was like 60% to 40% for us, sometimes 70% to 40% for us. But the you got to remember, 2Z is the top contesting team to get the top one, and anybody that you play in top 3 is always going to be tough. And sometimes the games are going to be 50-50, and you just have to play your best during the tournament day. Because in practice it doesn't matter, right? You are practicing. Tournament is where it really matters, and you have to pull everything out of your bag.
Well, I was looking at the bracket for the next weekend. It looks like it is nicely poised for a 2Z and Proof winners final if you both make it there. So I'm pretty fucking pumped for that, man. Honestly,
I'm pumped for it.
Is Claus going to be back for that weekend,
fun.
or do we not know?
So in the general rules, if I'm not mistaken, if you qualify with another player, that player has to play until the finals.
Right. Okay. Got ya.
So yeah, they're going to play with Rel. I think, you know, a fairly accomplished player anyway. So still up there. Who else do you think is especially good here, Phaze? What are the other teams that are scaring you? D-Slap, scary at all?
Nobody is scary. Just everybody is going to be tough in the top 3, top 4. Nobody's scary. But when it comes to the good pool of teams, I would definitely say D-Slurp. And 2.5 Men, if I'm not mistaken, that's the name now.
Yeah, so 2.5 Men is an interesting team. I've been speaking to a few people today about them. It's Sirius, Ints, and Memphis. And the way that I look at that team is like they're a skill check. They're like this thing that teams either overcome or they don't, and I feel like they're going to have really super consistent win rates. Because what they have is quite simple. Like they've just got a fuckload of aim. And then Memphis is more like the objective-based player, really good movement. Yeah. Does that team have upset potential, though? Or do you think that the top 3 that we're talking about are going to take them easily?
There's a lot of factors that go into it. One of them is how much time they're going to put into practicing. And, some of those players do enjoy WoW a lot. And with the Shadowlands coming out.
The Destroyer of Dreams, World of Warcraft. Every time I talk, I break Phaze. I kill him every time I speak.
Whoa!
Oh my God. Oh, you're back. You're back.
I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep. I'm going to mute.
Oh.
When did I cut off?
I made a shit joke about WoW destroying dreams, and you said about them maybe not practicing as much.
Yeah. So so because of that, they might not practice as much. I'm not too sure. It's really up to one of the players. If they do practice, 100% they are the contenders for top 3.
All right, that's going to be exciting to watch out for.
Sirius, by the way, just quick, was putting out a fucking hellish amount of damage in his games, like most games, like 8k, sometimes 9k damage.
Yeah, I think we saw a 9k Marina game. Yeah, although it's interesting, right? I don't think that team's as good at Wipeout as they are at everything else, which seems sort of counterintuitive when we say they're all mechanics. And Memphis has probably played more Wipeout than just about anyone.
I think MacGuffin for sure is the
strongest.
I
think so as well. Like I think that like their MGs are so strong, their shafts are so strong, and you can sort of get around that a little bit more in Wipeout. I feel I don't think Wipeout's like the all aim no brain game that we expected it to be. I know it's interesting. But a few other teams that I would like to touch on, some of your ex-teammates, for instance. We've got 3K, that's Krizza, that's Luminous, and Absol. Phaze is laughing. I'm worried. And he's dead.
Nice.
What a disaster this man is. What's just walked into his
I'm
room?
back.
What's happening? What?
Sorry, it's just my ghetto setup that is crashing a little bit. I don't know where I stopped talking, but yeah, it doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
You
3K
didn't
got
even
through.
start. Yeah, just go ahead.
3K, what do we make of them?
3K, Crystal, Luminous, Abso. They're tier 2 team at the moment. I think I think their play styles clash a lot with each other. I think there's a lot of damage being done outside of the objective, making extremely hard for them to do anything else but damage output. It's sometimes, especially in Extinction, it seems like there is not a specific life leader. All run around alone. So that could be one of the issues for them. In MacGuffin, again, a lot of damage in the middle of the map, not a lot of objective play. It's like it's those little things that add up that will make them lose versus top tier teams.
Right. I mean, I think it's an interesting team because the names are maybe bigger than they currently should be. You know, they've got a lot of heritage, a lot of legacy, a lot of pedigree, shall we say. Two more teams I want to touch on. A very weird one to me that I looked at on paper and was like, what the fuck's happened here? But I quite like it. Danchez, Cass, and your ex-teammate, Skooky. What do we think of this one? This is a really weird team for me.
It's probably one of the teams that will have to work the hardest to get into the top, to break into the top. Not because they lack skill, because they have plenty amount of skill, especially mechanical skill. It's more to do with the fact that you have two duelers and one team player, and there seem to be, since they've been playing maybe for a week or two together, they haven't gelled well yet. There's still a bit of confusion. There could be some language barrier. So there's a lot of little things that again add up. Then it's in Cass's hands to make them into team players. At the moment, they're still dual players. They still play like dual players in team modes. So it's really up to Cass to point things out to them, to kind of guide them into making them into team players, better team players. That team again could be one of the teams that contend into the top 3, top 4, top 5, depending on how much practice they put into it.
And there's one team left that needs to be mentioned, and I don't want anyone's comment on this, honestly. It's not needed. Godspeed, you Egg Emperor. It's Gaia. It's Veliar. It's HAL 9000. Fuck yeah, bud.
Do you sponsor that team?
This is my team. I very nearly did sponsor Gaia to one event once upon a time, but it didn't come to be. Corona got in the way, but I absolutely would sponsor this team.
That's CPM
Fucking
18.
CPM boys come in hot. They've got the movement. They've got the aggression. They do not care about the competition. They're very disrespectful in DMs. No, they're not. They're fine. But I can't wait to see this team play. I don't know how good they are overall, but they have certain characteristics and they're all, successful in their own game, which I think is always interesting. You get this completely different look, completely different philosophy when you come over from something like CPM as opposed to QL. And Diabotical being a little bit faster suits them better than QL does, but still, there's some... the game isn't super intuitive for them, I guess, because they still have instinct remaining over from CPM. But yeah, that's my team to watch. I can't wait to see them play. I'm so glad to have them in the playoff. And I think, that wraps up EU quals quite nicely. That's going to be Friday and Saturday on twitch.tv/Diabotical.
Just real quick, actually, I was going to ask Ved if he managed to catch any of the EU stuff. Obviously,
I was about to ask the same.
They're over quite quick, though. So I wonder if you managed to catch any. Push to talk, bud.
Right. Yeah, I looked at the results to see what teams made it. And I mean, I didn't watch much. Like I've seen the Pulse, NSC, and Cook team play like a little bit on their streams. And honestly, for me, I'm gonna go for the NA EU thing. And I thought like the EU is kind of lacking in the strategy department, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
seems like
Yep.
there's a lot of basic mistakes, like lack of coordination, no shot calling, like serious. I remember after we played Team Liquid in the finals, Sirius messages us and it's like, why don't you go top every time in Wipeout? Just own them. And I'm like, bro, like, and I argued with Too Good about this too. It's like, dude, going up top is like the one way to just like 50-50 a game. It's like, but that was somehow premier EU strategy at the time. So I think like they need a, I mean, I know language barrier and is going to be a problem, but like they need to focus on that aspect of the game. They have the mechanics, but it always seems like like they always
Very
struggle with that
one
component.
linear way of doing it.
Yeah. And like the other thing too is, if you don't have like strong shot calling and like contingency plans, like games can just spiral out of control. That's like one of the things that Liquid was really good at, like against the EU teams, where it's like the EU teams, they have a set strategy, but the moment it stops working and they get like control set on them, they don't have anything else. They need to like win the fights, and if they don't, then it just blows up and they're done for. That needs to be a component for EU if they were gonna contend for international tournaments, if there ever is one.
I think that's a good point, man. Because I was watching obviously your progress with Papa Smurf and Beth when you were playing the NA qualifiers a couple of weeks back, and literally you in particular obviously trying to call most of the shots from what I could tell, and it was kind of like, okay, like this didn't work, guys, let's maybe try it this way. And I think like the language barrier can be an issue in EU, and particularly when you're trying to talk about like really nuanced elements of the match, or how a round went, and how it could maybe be improved. And the EU teams don't tend to stream their scrims quite so often, but you kind of get that kind of like radio silence before the match starts, where they're not really talking to each other, and then they'll go into the match. They might get a bit frustrated, and then it's the same sort of thing, and kind of silent until the next round. It's almost like they're trying to just like force through whatever their kind of plan was beforehand. And I think like it makes such a difference in any team, in any game, having that one voice who's kind of persistent and really goes over the kind of real detailed aspects of the round, even mid-game, because there's plenty of time in some of these round matches like Wipeout, like Extinction, where you can really kind of drill down on a couple of things that didn't go quite well. And I'm sure in Phaze, obviously you guys don't have any language barrier like whatsoever. You must be able to work things out, as an advantage.
We talk all the time, dude.
Yeah,
we talk to the point where sometimes it's like there's so much information that we give each other. It's important. I think it's better to give more information than be quiet sometimes. It keeps the team more composed and more focused on the objective.
Liquid definitely agrees with that, for sure. And
no.
they're doing pretty well.
No, the ghetto setup. Should have used your phone. Better CPU. Oh, he's back.
Okay, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, man. We can't hear you again.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Now, yeah, you're good.
Okay,
I'm gonna hold up a sign.
Every time I speak very loud, it seems to crash.
Oh, okay, that's
So
fine.
I'm gonna ASMR this shit. Okay.
Oh, perfect.
What I will say is that Rafa and the Hang scream a lot, right? So at some points it was quite unbearable to listen to, purely because of like in my head is when I'm playing with my guys. If you are composed and you're still giving out the same amount of comms and you are as fast with the comms as you can be without screaming too much, it's better for us, because you also have to hear the game. You also have to have your own thoughts and you have to process them. I think when someone is screaming into your ear a lot, it can be quite daunting for long periods of time. But no, like there's a lot of communications between us. I think I agree fully with what Vedmedik was saying about teams, especially in Europe, lacking any sort of strategies when it comes to contingency plans, which is the main strategy. And it's a lot of linear play that can be abused quite easily. As soon as teams figure it out, or if you have a smart team that can figure that out and just abuse that to their advantage, they will. And that's what's been happening in the top 3, top 4 teams at the moment.
Yeah, I've seen like extinction rounds end like before the power up, and I'm like, holy shit, like what is going on? Like people aren't even trying, like, if you're gonna beat anyone in NA, like you're gonna have to fucking wrench it out of their hands, right? Like we're gonna hide the entire game. It's gonna be fucking difficult, you know, to find the last guy. But like with EU, they're like we're just gonna fight all the time, like maybe around the items, and then whoever wins just wins, you know. Like good enough for me.
I really hope we get the team comms for next weekend.
We will.
Is that happening? Yeah, because that's going to be great. And obviously, with the qualifiers, you do see the teams. You get to watch the teams more who kind of do lose a map or two and have to kind of play more matches. Obviously, I think there was I only caught one of your matches, Phaze, and it's good to see. It would be good to see the sort of dominant teams communicate and maybe compare that, because you definitely do get those slight delays in communication on some of the other teams with multiple nationalities.
Yeah. The teams that will probably communicate the most is 2Z and us. The rest of the teams, whether it's a language barrier or people going quiet, because that happens a lot. We've been watching some teams practice. Even in practice, for some reason one thing goes wrong and they're just fucking quiet for the next 20 matches. And it's like if you're gonna be like that, then you might as well just stop practicing, because you're getting into bad habits. It's that simple.
What language did the 2Z call in?
English.
Oh, even with claws?
Well, it's Silence Up is Dutch.
Right. Yeah, I was always I don't know. I've never really understood why Silent Step is playing with Russians, because usually there's a bit of a separation, but I mean it works for them, so
I mean,
no problem
but,
there.
you know, Latromi's and Closet's English is good. It's not bad, and they you know, because they've been playing this game for so long, or Arena FPS in general, and they kept on playing team modes. It's just something that is already in their nature to do.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sure as long as you like discuss strategy beforehand, like you should, you know, if you discuss contingency plans and like what you're gonna do in case things go wrong beforehand, you'll be fine. Like, you know, when Jake pointed out like mid-round, whenever I'm playing with Papa Smurf and Beth, that's because we didn't practice at all, and I was just like, well, shit, this ain't working. We gotta think of something.
Well, exactly.
You know? Like, you know, I wouldn't say that's ideal, right? That's just like on the fly, just hoping, you know, trying something new.
Yeah, well, and I know Papa Smurf questioned that I said progress on here. It's not what I didn't mean progress as in like you practice. I mean you progressed literally through the tournament to the playoffs. That's what I mean. You actually progressed and beat, you know, team. You retired Carnage Johnson, for crying out loud. Have a heart. All right. God damn.
Yeah, that was the proudest moment.
I was there, man. I fucking watched it. It's great.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, it's good to like I said, the com thing was a great idea from Good Studio with the TTS. Davis for me was like, I forgot to shout him out last episode, but he was like an absolute MVP of the comms, just like so wholesome with his comms. And I think like it's actually a really good advert to if any teams do start to want to, you know, shuffle around. Even though I'm sure you all know each other quite well after all these years, but like, you know, if a spot opens up and someone's like, okay, we really need a good communicator, you can go back and listen to how everyone was individually, right? And it's quite a nice little neat, you know, advantage of doing that. But
yeah, I think it improves the spectator experience a ton.
Oh, big time. I actually think MacGuffin is better told, like the story of the MacGuffin match is better told through the comms than it is. Sorry, Joel. It's a little bit easier to tell the story through the team comms than it is the cast in MacGuffin specifically, just because it's so fucking, you know, end to end.
No, you can just hit tab and you got everything you need to know.
Oh, shit. Joe, it's okay. You still got a job, bud. Best dual caster I've ever met.
Yeah, true enough. Let's talk. We've been talking about the competition in the team modes. Let's talk about the team modes themselves. And I want to pose a question about Wipeout. I keep saying that Wipeout is getting more tactical, more interesting, and just better to watch day by day. Is this true, or am I talking shit?
I mean, at least from the NA end, I think that it like developed heavily during, like, we had a ton of tournaments during the beta, and like people were trying a bunch of different things. Like the Hoyt, Messick, Goonshamp team, they were coming up with a bunch of different strats. They're the people who came up with the Dirt strat, where like, you know, they just sit at the bottom of like on Wellspring, they sit at the bottom next to the portal, and like often like someone's like, I'm just gonna drop down to see what I can do. Like you drop down, you get shafted, or like they all just like port through, and then like they'll triple team the 2 people that are up top, right? Like there's a bunch of variation that was already happening. I think like Team Liquid is the one that's heavily behind in Wipeout strategy, which is why they're like the most prone to losing. But I think it's been developed for a while, but I think people are finally like giving it some appreciation, right? I think a lot of people were like instantly dismissive. They're just like, it's Clan Arena, whatever,
Right.
who cares? But, if you like people, there are strategies. People are trying to, it's not just rush top. We're going to fight each other and that's it, right? There's team play, microing, strategy based off of spawns, like based off the respawns. I know, like Eric, I guess he's Papa Smurf in the chat. He's not a fan of that, but I mean, ultimately, at least it adds something, to Clan Arena.
How can you trust a man who bakes his own bread? That's what I say.
So for me, like Wipeout, I thought was going to degenerate really horribly into being super campy or just literally that top fight. And instead, it's turned into something a little bit more elegant. Like you have some teams that play deathball styles, some try and spread over the map a little bit more. People tactically dying is becoming more and more common. I feel like the teams have a better grasp of it. I still don't know, without changes, how long it can stay around, because I still have this fear it's all going to go wrong at some point. Like people are going to figure out Wipeout and it's going to start being horrible to watch. But I think with the way the format is currently, where we have all 3 modes, it's actually quite welcome. It's such a different pace. It's so different to commentate, and especially with the team comms as well. I think it's pretty good, honestly. I didn't think it would be, but it's fine.
Fuck. I think the respawns are the key thing compared to like Clan Arena. Like even just timing your respawns. Like Joel, we play Wipeout all the time, and how fucking shit are we at Wipeout, right?
Oh,
we don't pay attention to the respawns and stuff. It's bloody difficult, and like it's impressive to see all these teams really just adapt. Phaze, I didn't see you guys play Wipeout, but what are you guys like with Wipeout? Is it one of your strong modes, would you say?
It's one of the. I mean, all the mods are strong.
Oh right? Shit! Yeah. They're all strong for us.
They're all strong. Everybody has a certain weakness depending on the mode. You're gonna have 2 players that are better in this mode, and then you're gonna have 1 player worse at this mode. It's not everybody's always good at everything. But as a whole, as a collective, I think we're pretty strong at every mode. Wipeout is like one of those games where EU definitely is still figuring out how to play it. Understanding the concepts of dying in the right time, the way you heal, who you sacrifice, how you sacrifice, the way you position yourself, whether you go as 2, whether you go as 1, whether you go as 3. There's a lot of different concepts that Wipeout provides that a lot of people didn't realize before. I think, beginning from month, I think teams have definitely changed the way they play Wipeout so far. They're more, as you said previously, they're more elegant about the way they play. It's not as much of let's rush into the middle and dive in and kill each other and hope that it's not going to be 50-50. You will now see that teams spread around a lot, and they wait for that right moment to punish the other team, especially catching them out with 2 players or 1 player. It's crucial in order to win a round.
Right.
That will determine how it goes.
Yeah, and a key factor too is that, like, okay, how many people, like, who has strengths in the top fight? If you're like a Rockets-based player, you're gonna have strengths in the top fight, but not a lot of people are Rocket-based players. So like, why flip it on the top fight, right?
Griffin,
if you're
let's go.
Griffin. Well, I honestly, I think Griffin's just not played in forever. Like I was pretty sure he was a Shaft player, but I think like with Rockets he can do something, like with no practice, right? But I mean, ultimately, like you play to your strengths, so that should give variety, right? Like I'm more of a Shaft-based player. Yenum's like railing, shafting. That's probably what he's better at, right? So like, with what you're good at, that shapes what strategy you have as a team, right? And maybe people fit different roles. Like Tony or Death Row was like, he's great at rail. He's like an insanely good Counter-Strike player. Like, like don't get him into like close engagements, like, or I mean, he's actually good at everything, but like he's way better at railing. Like you get into a rail fight with him, he's gonna win like 70 or 80% of the time. So that should like give strategical variety, and I'm sure like people are finally like, not just mindlessly rushing top with Rockets and like,
Well, it's funny
Right.
because, obviously when James was playing on 2Z, he specifically mentioned in his own winners interview that, like, in Wipeout, he knows he's not as strong with the weapons as the current players, so he would literally frontline for his team just to give room for the other two to just do maximum damage, and like that's a viable fucking thing to do, right? Like that is literally a viable thing. I mean, he's not literally running in, shooting nothing and just dying, but he's purposefully not trying to maximize his damage because he knows it's not the best thing for the team overall, right? So what do we I don't know if this is coming up, Joel, but what do we Wipeout's obviously here to stay, right? There's already been some Wipeout 2.0 discussions on various dev updates. Do you think we kind of need that coming up to just make it a bit more deeper, or do we think it's pretty good as it is? We just need new maps, maybe? To anyone?
I think for me, the fact that we have the 3 modes in rotation means it's really forgiving on how deep each individual mode is. I think, if we had a scene that was exclusively Wipeout, that was the only team mode, of course we'd need it to be like. Similarly, if it was only MacGuffin, that'd be an issue. If it was only Extinction, that'd be an issue. So I think that it could probably go on like this for a little while. I think it's going to get changed for Season 2. Season 2 coming in December? January? One of those two.
Just need December now. Fuck.
Yeah, I know. But, life goes on. We shuffle endlessly closer to the end of this mortal coil.
Yeah.
That's sad, isn't it? Fuck. But Diabotical's great.
To be fair,
the 3 modes, I think, make it okay.
They're testing the coin system, aren't they, with that survival mode, right? So there's going to be a shop, right? So, Ved, you can make your shaft stronger if you wanted to in Wipeout. I'm sure you're quite happy with that. Maybe you should add a knockback, though. That'd be a good one to buy in the shop.
Yeah, like QL shaft. It's upgrade, right?
That'd be great. I just thought I would ask about Wipeout 2.0 just because I think it's coming, and I think people wondered if maybe Wipeout would just only be in here for the first season just to kind of get people playing more, but I do wonder if it's just going to evolve.
I think there's a couple of issues with getting rid of it. One is that it is still, as far as I'm aware, the most played mode in pubs, and if the success of the big esports has taught us anything, it's that having parity between what we watch and what we play is very important. But also from a broadcasting perspective, again, I think it's very welcome. The problem with Arena FPS, as a spectator sport, a lot of the time, is it has like a fucked up cadence where it's just constant barrage of fairly unimportant things happening. And because we don't have a set win condition in most modes, that can get really, really tiring. But because we have Wipeout to break it up, it being round-based, it being a mode where you have to be more conscientious with your lives, it's just a different flavor. And I think this is proven beyond any doubt that having multiple modes be the standard for a team tournament is absolutely golden. Now, whether it has to be Wipeout or something else, I think we still need something similar to Wipeout in that sense for the viewer experience.
Yeah, I mean, I think Wipeouts, like a Wipeout 2.0 would be good. I think, like having Wipeout within the competitive mode is not a bad thing. I think that like lets people actually, one thing I like about the tournaments is, okay, like the prize pool is actually like far out. It's top 12. Like, you actually have a shot at getting top 12 and you can play with your friends and still like, feel accomplished. I think, and Wipeout allows like teams with not like a huge background as well to do stuff, maybe break through into the top 12 and make some money. It's still fun. It's fun too. It's like, casually fun, experience translates to competitive as well.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk a little bit more about team modes while we're here, because I think, am I right in thinking, Ved, you have some fairly controversial opinions on how the team format should be. So I want to open it up more than Wipeout. Where do we want team-based Diabotical to be going in the future?
Well, for me personally, I would prefer having a single mode.
Right.
Honestly, like I like MacGuffin because it seems like the most consistent competitive mode. Like I feel like the better team wins MacGuffin most of the time, and it's like, yeah, it could be Ceci and all that, but at least like if you it's the most stable mode. Like in Extinction is like has the same problems that QC round duel had back in the day. It's just like, oh god, I'm about to lose because of spawns, or it's like, it's just like, why? It's too much stress, a little bit like it's just unpleasant losing in that manner. I've talked to Hoyt about this, and like I think he also I think really the issue with the 3 modes for me is that like some of the modes are just bad. Like Extinction, I don't like at all. It's like 3 modes would be cool if all of them were good, but for now I think MacGuffin's like the most stable competitive mode. But ultimately, like if people want to still have fun, I think like Wipeout's fine. A Wipeout 2.0 would probably be even better, right? I think it's just like if you have make the modes competitive and fair, and like it's stable, like the better team wins every time. Like less dependence on some random bullshit where you're just kind of you're just left with a bad taste in your mouth that you just lost the Extinction round because you spawned in front of someone in a key time, right? That's really my thing, and that's why for now, unless there's better modes coming up, I would rather just see MacGuffin. Good strategy, depth, stable, so that's my view.
I completely understand why you would think that way, but I mean, as a commentator, I would just dread the idea of an all MacGuffin tournament, honestly.
I see that too. Yeah, like like you said, incessant action. Like also a lot of teams have no strategy, so it's just like you just spawn, you just run and die, and it's like what.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is sort of a problem. I don't know whether it's because of player base or it's something about the game design, but arena FPS tournaments, like the depth of the skill, rather like the depth of skill in the rosters that plays, really there's a huge separation a lot of the time. Like in NA, I think the top 4 teams as it is now, those being Liquid, Aim Scams, Zoric's team, and then Prevail, like I think they're a lot better than everyone else. And similarly, the top 4 in Europe, or actually the top 3 in Europe, I would separate 2Z, Proof, and D-Slurp. Like they are playing properly, and they're so much easier to cast because of it. But then after that, you get into this weird thing where there's just a lot of stuff happening that doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, like I was talking with like Papa Smurf and some of my friends about like how we could fix this. And back in the QC 2v2 days, we had like pug channels, right, where people like you could play pugs with Rafa and the Hang, and like you could pick up stuff from them, right? I think like a lot of the problem too is that like a lot of the knowledge is like isolated, and there's not enough like players like mutually exchanging stuff. So then like the lower teams are just like they're just they don't understand everything that's happening a little bit above. And like in Quake, small differences manifest into like huge score lines. Like you can just be like minorly better in a bunch of different things, and that'll mean like you just won that match 15-0 in a duel, right? And same with MacGuffin. So I think like there needs to be some I don't know, like some knowledge exchange with the lower teams, and like someone needs to come in there and give them structure, like have some pugs where people talk about this stuff, because everyone's capable of having strategy and structure in the games, but like often they just there's a lot going on all the time, and sometimes like the thing that people always like, the thing that has the most lasting impression is like, wow, I just lost that fight, I wish I like railed better or LG'd better. And it's like, it's not that, like I mean, it's definitely a part of it, but like there's a lot of other things that you can improve on, but most people don't even think about it at all.
Right. I think the way that a lot of people improve is quite reliant on sort of this knowledge-based improvement. Like you can learn smokes in CSGO and you're instantly better, right? You can just go learn, memorize it, done. Similarly, in something like a MOBA, you could just learn item builds and suddenly you're better. Build orders in RTS, right? Whereas arena FPS is super, super ambiguous. But what's interesting to me is it's ambiguous like a traditional sport is. Like if you think about football or soccer for you, Vedmedik, that's like the strategy of that game is quite ambiguous as well. So I sort of wonder maybe there is just something wrong with the way that the community is organized, like you're saying, in terms of disseminating that knowledge, disseminating the strategy that cuts through the ambiguity.
I just wanted to jump in about what Ved said about like pugging, and I know you're probably that's a little advert for Papa Pugs, which is banned on my channel. We're not allowed to advertise that.
There you go.
No, I'm just kidding. But what actually Phaze, we've played this before, but obviously we have like the frags.net Discord here for like mostly European stuff, and we get a lot of like TDM games. And someone like me who's never played Team Deathmatch in a Quake game, you know, most other games, if you think like Call of Duty, for example, like TDM is kind of seen as like, you know, the scrub mode where anyone can just go in and play, where it's quite the opposite in this game, where it's actually probably the hardest mode I've played at all. And like playing with like Abzo and like Phaze and some other like more, you know, we've had Chrysler jump in as well. Like, you know, Phaze, I just want to say, like, you guys, just being on like your team, for example, like we'd break it up so it's quite even, so you'd have like Phaze on one team, Abzo on the other, and like just hearing the direction of where we should be going and like what we should be doing really fucking helps, right? And it's just a classic, like, you know, the good players or the more experienced players pass the knowledge down, and then, you know, scrubs like me can eventually start getting some more hours in and start enjoying it. Because if you just go into TDM blind and you have no idea about some of the basic concepts, it's just not going to be fun, right? And yeah, like obviously Phaze, we play in that frags.net every now and then. It's been a bit dead recently, but I think it's definitely something that can be revived a bit when all the teams, you know, when the team tournament's over and stuff.
I think it will be revived.
100%.
My fondest memory of Diabotical, I think, at this point is probably this night in the testing server where me, Raven, and James played against, I think it was Abso, Nico, and like maybe Zoe, and we just played for like 4 hours and lost every single game. But of course, playing with James, you learn a lot and you get that direction, and suddenly everything that's good about TDM and everything that's good about team modes is made very apparent. So I think anything we can do, and the team comms during the broadcast are a huge part of this. Anything we can do to push that to be more public, to really expose the inner workings of these high-level teams, the better.
And no better time with all these new team maps to test as well, right? So I think everyone should get out there, do some pickup games, learn some TDM. I've never played freeze tag in my life, by the way, so I'll be organising some freeze tag soon. But yeah, man, it's definitely good.
Phaze, the competitive format, the 3 modes, you like Extinction a lot, right?
Now, out of all the modes, Extinction is the closest to what you can get from TDM. So that's why I like it. I don't like what Vedmedik, I mean, I like what Vedmedik mentioned about not liking specific parts about Extinction. One of them being spawn systems, how it works, the placements of the spawns. Even the rounds can be quite hectic, but I think a lot of people haven't figured out yet how to play Extinction properly. That's why some rounds might feel like you're playing 50-50. As a life lead, if you have a specific life lead role, I know a lot of people don't like playing that way. I know teams prefer being more playing on the go, so whoever spawns near the item becomes the life leader, whatnot. But I think having a specific role attached to a player nullify a lot of those issues in a way. But it's for people to experiment, for people to figure out, and actually find that there is more depth in Extinction. And of course, not looking at all the issues that it comes with, I think it's probably one of the modes that I like the most, purely because it's the closest to TDM.
I think the devs are aware of the spawn issue, like that Ved mentioned as well, because just listening to other like sort of players on these teams, like that's like the first thing people think about when they think of issues about Extinction. So hopefully, if it's here to stay, it's something that can be kind of looked at.
And then like another complaint I have with Extinction is that like it is inherently like damaging to certain styles of play. So for example, like, I like close range fights, right? It's like, well, you're going to be dropping lives, and then you're just like, I can't play how I want to play, like how I enjoy, because like I'm just going to be useless, right? Like, I mean, if I start taking fights, it's way too risky. Like I'm going to be losing, you know. Yeah, anything can happen in fights, so it's like you gotta play more rail based, more, you know, anything long distance safe, non-committal, like, you know. But so in that sense, not a big fan, you know. Like in TDM, like you could be a close range player and have a lot of value. And here it's like, I mean, either you're dedicated as, the ghost player, or you're just like,
it's very situational the way you
yeah,
have to
or
play as
you're
that type of player.
yeah, or you like, like whenever you become the life lead, you're just like, man, I have to sit back and rail, or just like run with rockets or whatever. But that's like, it's not how I want to play at all. It's not what I enjoy, right?
See, the thing is, this is one thing that I found out about people at the moment in Extinction. They feel a little bit too worried to play, to be present as a life leader on the map. And at least in Extinction, I think undervalue how they overvalue how much of a plus bug playstyle could work out for them. I think plus bug playstyle as a life leader is the worst decision you can make. It's going to get you in the most trouble. I think if you are present on the map as a life leader, or doing damage, not overcommitting, understanding the situations where you can do damage and get out of the room, I think people need to start really looking at it from that perspective, instead of if they have one life. You cannot plus bug all the time, because you'll be putting yourself in more danger than you playing together with your team and being present. And
Yeah,
I think,
yeah, you'll lose out on map control if you only have two members that can exert any pressure, right? So you definitely have to come in and like support them, but you're definitely coming in from the back. But
there's a bit of a jeweler's mentality that is kind of trying to do damage, maximize as much damage as you can with an escape planned and not taking damage as well. It's quite an interesting like crossover of the two modes, and I think like that's the one thing I learned about playing TDM, and I guess Extinction takes it to the extreme where like TDM is almost like a team duel, where like you're trying to take over certain areas of the map, but as a team instead of just on your own, and trying to control the resources. So like that's really interesting actually. I wonder if like we saw obviously like Zorak struggling, I think, when he was playing Extinction with his team. I think he initially started off almost like being the life leader, and then they kind of switched it up mid tournament, and he started then just trying to be a ghost and do as much damage. But obviously, the trouble with being a ghost is that you don't get any of the fucking armors, right? So it's hard to, like you say, Ved, to get in there and do some close range fights when you're just going to die if there's more than one person there, or if the life lead's got a stack,
yeah, so this is like also another issue, right? Where if you're the ghost, like the best way to be effective as a ghost is pull out the rocket launcher and sprint at like as fast as you can and just run in and lob a rocket, because you're instantly going to get blown up anyways. And it's like that's like that is so unsatisfying. Where also like LG doesn't have any knockback. Like most of the guns don't have good knockback. So you literally just have people like flying in at you, just trying to do anything. It doesn't even matter like if they fail, like just so much pressure, and you're like, you're the life lead, and you're like, oh my god, please miss, like there's it's so unpleasant. It's so unpleasant. That's like legit like one of the best tactics to kill life leaders, right? I mean, yeah, you can get map control and all that, but like people have been successfully just flying in and trying to rocket you, like prey with rockets, and it works.
Yeah, I guess it's an example of why it is kind of being used as almost like a slightly watered down TDM, because when you are a ghost, your death doesn't matter whatsoever, and I guess that's kind of maybe bridging the gap. But it's interesting. I wonder if we'll see a turning point if Extinction's staying. I wonder if we'll see a turning point like Wipeout kind of does, where it kind of turns that corner, and everyone who might think it's not great now, there might be some new meta that develops or something, but we don't know.
I mean, I think watching Phaze's team, it's really enjoyable. The way that he plays as life leader, I think if that's the direction of the mode, then things are only going to get better for sure.
I'll have to watch. I'll see what you do, Phaze. But yeah, like I mean, from my experiences, it's always been pretty unpleasant. Like the lack of zoning options. Like that's one thing too. Is like strategies that are like with flying in with rockets like would not work if you would get sent to the moon with an LG, right? But no, you can't do that. Like you like literally with LG, no knockbacks. You're just people can do whatever they want. They can just
I think one of the things that you mentioned is like that is an apparent issue in a way, and this isn't Quake Life in a way. So but it also doesn't excuse the fact that yes, you don't really have a gun that doesn't knock people back from those situations. And I feel like until there might be some weapon that will do some knockback to the player pushing into the room, the best way to go about it is you just figure out formation with 2 players, like because you play 3-3. So your teammates, if you're being a life leader, you have to come up with some sort of formation, as we do. Make sure that even if the player does get through to that position of doing damage to the life lead, even if he gets close to the life lead, his stack is going to be so minimal at that point that a shotgun blast will take that player away from the position and kill him. So I think there is an issue, but I think there are still ways to minimize the amount of damage that you can intake as a life lead.
Yeah, definitely. But you're like playing around something that's like
You have
very
to play
annoying.
around. Yes, you have to play around, but you still play around it, right? There's still a conscious decision of like, this can still work even though it's not ideal. It will work out one way or another.
Yeah, I mean, you can say it's like not Quake Live, but just like there's certain things like just because you change something does not mean it's better, right? Like, and for me, at least in my personal opinion, flying in with rockets as a valid thing that you have to play around and be very concerned about is just something that's like.
I mean, that's why I don't play duel. Like duel is so much of people flying in with rockets. I just don't enjoy it, and I think in team modes, it's a little bit. It still exists, especially in Extinction.
I feel like it's harder in team modes. Go ahead, though. Sorry.
No. I was just about to say that in team modes, I find it slightly easier than in duel because a lot of the team maps are done in a way that there's plenty of open areas. Sure, there's a lot of corridors, but if you play duels at the moment, every room is a corridor or a very, very small room. So you can't really avoid those rockets. Whereas, for example, Icefall, right? You got that little window that people can go through to teleporter. They go to window to red, right? If you are the life lead, for the person to go through the window and get to you, if you have 2 players lined up to punish that push, you as a life lead taking any damage is very unlikely.
Yeah, but that's only if like one person, if 2 people are rushing with you. Yeah. But like in duel, I feel like it's easier because you can be very aware of what's going on. Like there's only one other person. In Extinction, it's like shit's happening everywhere. Like you don't know where people are spawning. Like also like there's so much action that you cannot keep track of all 3 opponents' positions. So like it's just one of those things where I feel like, I mean, for me in duel, I have a lot easier time of not getting blown up with rockets. I'm very good at avoiding those fights now. I know how to play around it. In Extinction, it's like, holy shit, like I don't know, I haven't been successful, and that might be, my lacking as a player.
I have the exact opposite to you. It's like in duel, I just cannot, like, there's so many situations where I'm thinking, right, I'm in this position, I have position advantage, I have stack advantage, and then some fucking guy is flying into the room with rockets dealing 250 damage and I'm dead. In Extinction, like, I think there's a huge difference between team players and duel players in micro decisions. And just the understanding of the pace and where the enemies can be. And I think once the duel players, especially duel players, figure out the micro decisions that they have to take in those situations, they're gonna get so much better. It's just those little things that will add up that people will start realizing in team modes. Then you kind of build your game sense around that, and it's a lot easier to deal with 3 people being around the map. And for example, in Extinction, you being the life lead, that awareness will save you so many of your lives. Like even if you look at my stats, I think when we played Nubify, is that what they're called?
Nibufi, yeah.
Nibufi. I think it was maybe 6 rounds of Extinction. I died 5 times.
Yeah, but then you play against Team Liquid and they're flying at you like that survival mode, like just fucking launching through. It's like rapid in there with rockets. Like, bro, try that. Try not dying. It's so triggering actually. Like I remember I had an argument.
It is very hard
good about this, where it's like, bro, they flew in late, like off the spawn, and we literally could not get them off. All 3 of them, right? Like if you're set up, you can get one guy out, but all 3 of them flying in, it's just like, my God, that worked. Like that is like, for me, that was just ridiculous. Like in TDM, they would be like dead so fast, it'd be unbelievable. They couldn't do any damage to us, but in here, they can do that. It's just how the game is right now.
That's interesting. I think what you said about avoiding those fights in dual Ved. I think what we should do as a collective is pay for Carwick to fly to NA and play on the ladder against you guys, and see if see if you get dragged into rocket fights like Phaze does when he plays him on the ladder. Oh,
I mean,
God.
yeah, I mean, we have plenty of people like that. Shout out to Ray GG or Ray_BG on Twitch. Like, he loves them rockets,
Ray. No, just reminded me of you, Phaze. Some of my favorite streams of yours.
I think I think like a lot of it's very hard, like for me and Vedmedik in a way. I don't know if he can agree with me. It's very hard to compare how to play each mode between our regions because everybody plays so differently. We would really have to play EUs would have to play NA, and then NA would have to play EUs in order to kind of get the full understanding of certain situations and how to counter them. It's very nice of us to say that this could work or this couldn't work, but only time it will really show is in an international line, and unfortunately we don't have them at the moment, which is a big shame because this game could really expand and build a good community around it with having tournaments online and having hype on Twitch, having hype on any other platform that it could be streamed on. And I think that would be one of the places where we could all share that knowledge and experience with each other about all the game modes and see who in a way got it right, at least in that tournament, and then seeing what can happen in the next tournament.
Yeah, it's always cool style clashes, like NA and EU have always played quite differently. I mean, even like CIS versus like Western Europe, I think it's been stylistically different, right? So yeah, it'll definitely be cool.
So I wanna open it up. Pretty broad here, goes to everyone. Just what are we looking for in season 2? What do we think we want to see changed or added?
I'll leave it up to that.
Damn, I can't even think about it.
Oh no, actually, leave it to Jake. I think Jake has some ideas, and we can think about
Jake.
it.
Well, I've said TDM like 4 fucking shows in a row, so I just purely just because I want to see good teams play it, rather than me play myself. I just want to see, I want to see 2Z play TDM. I want to see Phaze play TDM. I want to see fucking Noctis come out of retirement and play TDM, even though he probably can't because it's a conflict of interest.
God.
That's what I want to see. Because I missed out on the Quake, a lot of Quake's history. I'm still learning every day who was good at what mode, what year they were good in, that kind of thing. So, I would like to see Team Deathmatch. The maps, by the way, obviously we're only at the top 10 for the mapping contest. The maps are fucking so good looking. That freeze tag map that Nunastar made, I literally just walk around it every now and then. The spaceship one, dude. The potential in the map editor in this game is amazing. So new maps for me in all the modes, dual, all the T modes, and I would like to see professional TDM come back and maybe even some CTF because that's another mode I'm still learning a lot about. So yeah, that's my answer personally.
Phaze, go ahead.
Oh, you're throwing me under the bus now, huh?
Under the bus driver.
Get him off.
No, I don't know really. I'm very content with how things are going at the moment. I think one thing that I would really like to see in season 2 is weapon models. Different weapon models. I know it could be something that is very minuscule and people may not care about. It's something that I always liked about CS, always liked about Quake Champions. It's like having different weapon models just feels cool. You can swap between this. You don't like this gun, then you can get this gun. And if you put it behind the wall of paying for things, I think it could work out very well because people that do already play the Arena FPS game will pay for those skins. However, whatever the price is, that's one thing. The other thing is, Wipeout 2.0. I would like to see it. I would like for the direction of the game modes to go into something that is a little bit more addictive than the current modes are. I think at the moment the only addictive mode that is played as Wipeout, and it's still very basic, right? If you expand upon that, you put a shop behind it. I think that could be, like on paper, it looks like it may read like it's a lot, but you got to remember, you get games like Dota, you go games like League of Legends, you go CS, where you have economy. People will get it very quickly, and people are not dumb. Kids are not dumb. Um, it will take maybe a day, maybe two, to get around it, and that way, I think you are going to be building maybe a bigger audience, an audience that can enjoy the game even more so than they did before.
Oh, dude, I was initially really skeptical about the shop thing in Wipeout 2.0, but I'm actually well on board with it right now. I think like even for casuals, that's gonna be a hell of a lot of fun. They even like tease putting like crouch sliding in and stuff. Like, dude, how fucking fun is matchmaking gonna be? Just like flying around, and you could have people just doing different things. Yeah, dude, I'm well on board for Wipeout 2.0.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun.
Yeah.
Like the one thing I like to see is like, you know, more attempts on like refining the spectator experience. Like I think the voice comms is a great addition, but like in like CS they have like actually really good players who are controlling the cameras and they have like some directing. Like I know maybe like the production cost is difficult right now, but like I think like a lot more like a lot of the modes are more watchable if they're given the appropriate time and resources and like the knowledge, right? Because like I think James definitely knows what's going on. I think he like criticized I don't know Jahar for like looking at the wrong guy during an extinction match. But like if if someone like if Jahar doesn't play extinction, right? Like that's the best he can do, right? He doesn't know what's going on, right? So I hope like there's more attempts at this. Like I think everyone always says like we know that like arena FPS is always sessy. It's always like there's no flow. But I think like at least give it a fair shot to like try to tell a story. Have like every like I know in Overwatch they have like like a ton of monitors with everyone's screen, like everyone's point of view everywhere, and someone's like directing the flow, right? And he knows the game well, so he can like at least give a compelling story. I mean, it could be wrong, but at least it's something, right?
I mean, have you seen the Overwatch League?
Well, yeah, I know it's like I know
messy.
yeah,
It's like it's always going to be an issue. There's so much action.
yeah.
It really is like I think as you rightfully said, the production, maybe not the production guy himself, but having people that can create the pace. You want to be creating the pace, right? You don't want the game to create the pace in a way, and you follow that pace because it's impossible to follow everything. So you need a certain pace to be determined by the people that run it. And that way it can be probably solved a lot better. And I mean, that's not to say that they're not doing a great job at the moment, like Joel and James and
I do need
Jahar.
to say I'm actually the observer, so it might be.
No, I think like
Blame
I
Jahar
forget.
anyway.
I like casting, and this was Jahar some time ago. I remember two get called him out, but regardless, like it's a learning experience for everyone. No one's gonna be, no one's perfect right away, and we don't expect that, right? And so far it's been improving every day, right? So I just hope like they give the appropriate resources and keep trying, and all of us appreciate the efforts.
It'll only get better.
Yeah. Like I know some people get triggered, right? But like, look, it's everyone gets it, like people are learning how to do all this. It's fine, right?
For sure.
And then the other thing that I don't like are like the dual maps. Like I think whoever like I feel like the philosophy behind the dual maps is like completely wrong. Like items on really strong positions, so like like if someone's just holding the item, you literally cannot attack them or punish them in any manner. Like it just leads to really stale gameplay that's super defensive. I hope like I've seen some of the dual maps. I'm like they all look really nice. I like the ideas, but I'm not like 100% sold on if they're going to be good competitively, but I'm still open to it. Yeah.
There's
Hope to be
there's a lot of wild, not wild, but just like non-traditional ideas in there. Like there's a map without a shaft, for example, which I'm sure you'll be a big fan of, Fed. There's also a map with no rail. Things like that. There's a couple with no reds, I think, where it's like there's like 3 blues and a mega.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So I do wonder like how that would change how Jules played, but just the fact that we've got a fucking list of new maps, and clearly like the good studio are they prioritize good maps because they've put a lot of money up for these guys. There's a couple of map makers who have like a map in every single category. It could be like, you know, millionaires by the end of this thing, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, like the maps for sure, like for season 2, I think are going to be a big one for me in keeping my interest in actually playing. Like I kind of enjoy following the scene a bit more than playing a lot of the time. But yeah, new maps are definitely like needed because as much as the game's new still, you know, a lot of us have been playing in either the stress tests or, you know, you guys were probably playing in closed beta before that. And when you've been following the development of this game, obviously Phaze yourself playing a little bit before us as well, like the game kind of feels like it's been out for like a solid year already. Whereas to new players, it's actually only just come out. Where, you know, I think we, as closer followers of the scene, we're ready for new maps for sure. What about you, GMT? What are you looking forward to for season 2? Apart from better spectating tools.
One thing and one thing only.
Oh, God.
Buy the IP rights to Toxicity. You know you want to. It's the best map. I'm good at it. It's gotta be good.
It's amazing. It is amazing.
The only duel that GMT has won recently in convincing fashion was against me on Stick
Like
Flips.
20-0.
On Stick Flips Toxicity remake. So, yeah.
What's that called?
Toxicity.
It's called...
Stick Flip 01.
Flip 01?
No, it's called on the editor. It's called on the community thing. It's called Fuzzy Barracuda.
Fuzzy Barracuda,
Oh.
the best map in the game.
We were me, Galasac, Death, and Saint. We were all playing CPM, reliving some fun of the past on those. Like, I mean, I still love the old maps like Aerowalk, Toxicity.
Oh, the classics. Yeah.
Get
and
hectic in.
yeah, Hectic's not bad. Yeah, like fast-paced maps are always fun. Like they're enjoyable, right? And like, you know, quick thinking, I love that. Like instead of like Perilous, where you're like, I'm gonna sit on top. Like I'm gonna sit on top of Mega, and
The rat map.
it's like, and that is literally the best thing you could possibly do in like 90% of situations.
Yeah, we definitely need a bit more variety, I think, because there's a place for those sort of maps, right? But if every map is
I think there's a place for those people who make those maps, the CPM maps and old Quake maps. They should burn in hell.
Oh god. Well, this is the thing about this genre, right?
Make new maps.
Everyone has an opinion, and not everyone can be right. But yeah, I'm not saying remake maps for like the tournaments and stuff. But you know, there's a room for a little ZTN remake on the fucking community server.
Nah, I mean it's fun. It's like if people enjoy playing them in custom games, then let them be. Like they can, you know, they can play CPM, they can remake Quake full maps and play with crouch sliding, whatever they want to do. They have the access to do it. So if they find it fun, then sure, so be it.
Don't
I
put it
still
in
hate all the Quake maps.
But like, you know, a lot of us had a lot of fun back in the day on those maps, and it's nostalgia, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Always will be.
But obviously, you can't run a tournament with like less viewers than Quake on like Quake remade maps. That would not look good.
Nope.
I mean, look. On the whole, I agree.
Can't.
But I am genuine about I will buy the IP rights to Toxicity. Someone just needs to name their price, and I will make it happen. I want that in this game. It will make me happy, and that's very important.
How much James paying you, mate? Jeez.
Good luck speaking to Bethesda now.
I need maybe a couple years advance.
Microsoft now. Good luck, mate.
Good luck speaking to those guys.
It's a good map. We need it. Yeah. Also, Fi_slide1. Make it happen.
You really are the biggest God of War Sanchez fan I've ever met.
Love God of War Sanchez. What a guy.
Dude, I would love crouch sliding in duels. I think it would change duels so much. I would actually enjoy playing duels then.
You'll get that nerfed as well.
But that's just me.
Like you did with the dash phase.
Really, Phaze. You're like, flying in with rockets is not enough. They need to be sliding even quicker. You know, it's like...
Hey, look, we can talk about weapon balance more after the crouch sliding is implemented, right? Because...
Oh, no.
I think we're coming to the end. Phaze is dead.
Phaze is coming to the end.
We've made some changes to the show, ladies and gents. And now is the segment I'm going to call Streamer of the Week. And it may only be for this week. And that streamer is, of course, LupinQL. I'm going to post his Twitch channel in the chat. What a guy. A multi-time TimCon champion. He's got all of the coolest trophies. He's a very nice boy indeed. And he's currently, I believe, 3rd on the duel ladder. So do check him out. Also, big shout out. You're involved, Jake. Girls House. Tell us what's going on over there.
Oh yeah, so we had, or they had, sorry, their third kind of casual event, kind of designed to just get some female players to sort of make more friends in the community. They can earn a lot of Twitch subs. I think they gave out so many fucking Twitch subs this time around. It was crazy. Last time we've played 2 Wipeout nights. I cast this with Scraws, who's obviously been on the show before. So this time round they got to vote on the game mode, and it was Instagib FFA, which was quite funny because I haven't seen that played since like I first installed the game, and it was like the first mode that I played. But it was actually great fun. Like obviously we're casting quite like casually and loosely, but it was a lot of fun to see how many turbo frags people could get. Shout out to your former AIM Scums teammate Beth, got the MVP. She got the most frags in the whole.
She's also boosted us in Wipeout a little bit.
Yeah, she got me to nearly 1500 SR.
No. Getting up there, bud. Getting up there.
So yeah, no, it's really cool. I know they've got some announcements coming soon. There's another sort of casual event coming up, and they'll also be doing another kind of official, what they call the FDI, which is their kind of official tournament. There may be a dual cup actually for the female league, which should be fucking cool, and I really hope I'm involved in maybe casting that. Ash, by the way, if you're in chat. But yeah, that happened this weekend as well. It was good fun on Saturday night.
And it'll be not next weekend, but weekend after. We also this weekend have EU playoffs. That's going to be on twitch.tv/Diabotical. See Phaze beat everyone and make them very, very sad. Zen Sports Diabotical duel as part of the Pigeon Classic charity event. I'm going to post a link in chat. That's part of In the Keep charity event. They're good lads. It's all for a good cause, and should be some good players as well. TimCon Monthly number 3 is going to be this Sunday. That is, once again, all of EU's best joining in for, I think, let me check, £150? I think we're doing 150 quid this time. So that should be good. That's going to be on twitch.tv/TimConlan or Tim Conlon, depending on what you prefer. Koachi Cups, Australian Duel. That will be on Koachi Cups. I believe that's Sunday as well. I don't know. There's lots going on Sunday. There's 3 duel tournaments, I believe. So you got to try and keep up with that. Diabotical District November ongoing. And I recently got word they now have a official Twitch that I'm going to post in the chat. They do lots and lots of stuff. I mean, they've got weekly events. So do check out their website at www.diaboticaldistrict.com. And are we nearly done? We're nearly done. Right, mapping contest. This is a big one. 15th of December, it is over. You can see videos of the top 10s, basically the playoffs, on the Diabotical YouTube. But what we desperately, desperately need to do as a community is test these maps and give feedback if they're going to be made better. That's absolutely crucial. So once again, do join the Diabotical Mapping Discord. Message Napalm 3 Dimensions and get involved with the playtest. And finally, a shout out for ourselves. We're now going to be doing, as you just heard, announcements of ongoing community events. If you would like your event talked about on the podcast, just message me or Jake on Discord. That is the community roundup. I hope it didn't bore everyone to death. I think it's important.
I would like to shout out some streamers as well.
Do it.
Yeah. So one person that I've seen, I think he's a new face. His name's Yes More Light. I don't know if you've seen him. I think Jake's seen him.
Yep.
I think he's relatively new. I think he played a bit of Reflex, but he's like, actively streams, actually talks about everything that he's doing. He's a new player. So, I mean, it's interesting, watching like new faces, right? There's been so many, like all of us have been around for so long. It's, you have to promote the people who are, coming in. And then of course, Papa Smurf TV, who's going to be and Thraxia, I'll like post it in our little Discord chat here. We'll be doing pugs, Papa Smurf or Eric's trying hard to, get the scene more engaged, and Beth, of course, or Thraxia, she's been streaming duels and just like very actually impressive upcoming player that, hopefully we'll see on teams in the future.
Absolutely.
Good shouts, man. Yeah, I really enjoy watching Yes More Light stream because it is good to like. He literally has got that phrase talent where he can just literally calm whatever he's thinking, and he's actually got really fucking good audio quality. I know it's a really weird thing to point out, but his audio quality is fantastic when he streams.
Yeah, it's great.
It's really nice to watch actually.
Yeah, he's very entertaining. And he definitely, he's also the person that like puts himself all out there, although not like Phaze type, but he's still very respectful. But it's an enjoyable stream. I've enjoyed watching.
That's it.
Well, I'm gonna open it up. If anybody has any final words, please say them now or forever hold your peace.
Oh,
I know it's severe.
Sure. Yeah.
All right, Phaze, you go.
Those are the 2 questions I was telling you before we went live. The first question is DreamHack 2018. When you were walking onto the stage, no, actually, I think you were maybe
Ved.
You're
talking to Ved, aren't you? Yeah, not me. Sorry.
Yeah, it's going to Ved. I don't know if you were playing at that point or whether you were finishing the game or starting the game. Did you hear the casters call you Ice Poseidon?
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
Okay, that's question number 1. I was always wondering.
I disagree with that, by the way.
Okay,
Oh man.
It's very good that he's fucking died here.
Yeah,
we don't know what he's going to ask. He's going off record.
Hold on. Am I back?
Oh, he's back. Yeah, he's back.
Okay, so the second question is: has anyone ever told you that you look like him, apart from those casters?
No, never.
No. So that was the first time you've been called Ice Poseidon.
Yeah. Is that all your questions? Just about Ice Poseidon?
Yes.
Bro.
Those were my questions.
Oh,
and no, the first third question. The question is, where do you what is your nationality? Because I know you have Eastern European name, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So I always wondered where you were from originally.
I was born in Ukraine, but I moved when I was young. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm a citizen in the United States now, so I've been here a while.
Nice. Awesome. So yeah, those are my 3 questions.
Beautiful.
Great.
Right. So now is the time just to make sure we're all caught up with everyone. Phaze, we're going to be seeing you next week. You're going to be streaming as usual. Twitch.tv/Phaze, right?
Yep.
Cool. Everyone go follow him. Jake, you got anything on?
Not really, man. I just do a couple of streams every now and then. Just try and make a couple of videos, which I've been slacking on again. I said that last week as well, but
I know.
Yeah, I don't know. I just enjoy talking to people, meeting new people. That's what I've been doing. So, yeah.
Lovely stuff. And Ved, where can people find you, and what are you up to at the moment?
Well, I do have a Twitch stream, Ved DBT. I think it's like probably the same thing as my Twitter. I'll be playing in the duel tournament, like I think December 5th and the 6th, the test tournament series, and I'll be playing on a new team, Sane and Griffin. Still are thinking about a name, but we'll be, hopefully we'll be streaming and, enjoy Griffin's comms, right? I think that'll be always fun.
Oh man, that's good.
Just one last question. Just now that you mentioned that you're going to be playing duels and team modes, you've mentioned that you finished your finals, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how much time are you going to be putting into practice for both duel and team modes? I'm curious about that.
So now I'm on break till January 11th, so I have some time, but I have research obligations, so I'll be focusing on that, and we'll see what I can pull off. Like right now on our team, we're figuring out what our schedule will be, like what everyone's happy, like what amount of time people are happy playing. And with duel, I always I'll stream occasionally. I play like most of the time I'm streaming when I'm playing duel. I'll play like Hoyt, Death Row, those types, and I'll definitely put an effort and try to win the cup.
Oh, there's big money December tournament coming up. Are we going to see you there, Ved?
Yeah. I'll be there, and I'm definitely trying to perform well as well. So I'll be taking it seriously.
Nice,
all right, there we go. I've been GMT. They've been lovely. And
raid Davis, by the way.
Davis, yeah. 7th Smileyblue podcast in the book. You go say hello to Davis for us, and wherever you are, have a lovely morning, afternoon, or night.
Cool. Take it easy, guys.
Catch you later.
Thanks for inviting me, guys. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you.